Test speaker Srividhya Hariharan. Her speech title is Sugar Pills. I'll repeat. Test speaker Srividhya Hariharan. Her speech title is Sugar Pills. Sugar Pills is the speech title. Test speaker name is Srividhya Hariharan. Hope everyone got it.
We remember the first day at school. We remember the first day at office. But there is one day we all remember, but we never talk about it. The day we have been called aunties, uncles, sir, and ma'am. How many of you remember? Me too. It was at this stage that I flew over to Sydney for my first on-site assignment. I wanted to make my husband jealous. For every day that he posed in front of London Bridge, I wanted to pose in front of Opera House. I wanted to get likes. But for that, I have to get to the station. I have to get to the train station. For that, I have to cross the road. But I'm not able to cross the road. I saw the signal and it is not turning green for the pedestrian to cross. It was summer in Sydney, December. I was sweating. I was confused. I was seeing all the cars whizzing by. And the signal was not turning green. A stranger came in. He was like, "Ma'am, what are you waiting for?" And he just pressed the button and the signal turned green. And the children and him were just crossing. Pedestrians initiate crossing in Sydney. He called me ma'am, but I felt like a middle-aged misfit. I'm not even able to cross the road in a foreign country. Middle age, the age in which the silver peaks in your temples. The last vestiges of your youth whispers in your ear, winter is coming. When you see a sweet, you are reminded of sugar pills that you have to take. It is at this stage when all the YouTube videos get into your head. It is that stage when the YouTube video gets into your head. Do it, start, seize the day. And you want to become the school person who wants to do everything that you haven't done in your youth. I want to play guitar. I want to be youthful. I enrolled with my son. He enrolled for keyboard classes. I went for my guitar classes. I went into the guitar class. I was the oldest person in the room. Kids were looking at me. The guitar teacher even pulled the chair out and told me, "Ma'am, please sit down." And one of the kids walked up to me and asked, "Miss, I don't know how to play this note." I told him, "Me too." You have all seen the guitar notes, right? All the ants which is running into the horizon. I had to learn the notes. I had to learn how to play the guitar, a skill and a language at the same time. And try as I might, my little finger was not cooperating to play the F sharp. Lakshmi start, nothing was happening. And my master came in and he was like, "Man, F sharp." He thought that I wanted bifocal. No, I didn't want a bifocal. My finger is not cooperating. I realized middle age is an age when your spirit is not keeping up with your body. I decided to see the snow, trek in the snow, ski in the snow, before my knees gave away and my body doesn't cooperate. So I booked a trip to Kashmir with a bunch of 20-year-old trekkers. And they said, "Ma'am, let us take a selfie." And they took a selfie. They edited it in their Insta. It was looking nothing like me. It was looking nothing like them. So I was a misfit even before I began the trip. And then I went off to Kashmir and then I saw the snow. It was so beautiful. Roja background was playing in the background. And then I thought I will get down and have this Insta reel. I got down and they shot my pic, but I was not there. Where was I? I was on the ground. I slipped and I fell flat. Humpty Dumpty fell on the snow. And then more I tried to pull myself up using my hand. Further I fell into the snow. And people had to bodily lift me up. And most of my vacation was spent in seeking hands of perfect strangers just to keep me walking, just like a baby. And it is at that stage I realized that in middle age, you are reborn. You should feel that you are a baby. You have to start afresh. even walking all at a time. Have you ever seen a baby getting jealous? It takes help of people, it takes support of people. It walks in its own pace. It wraps up all the attention, good and bad. One day, it outruns them all. I didn't manage to outrun them all. I took the sugar pill of my self-confidence to cure my midlife crisis. One day, I cleared my level 1 in guitar, Trinity. One day, I taught a localite how to buy a train ticket and navigate the subterranean system. One day, in Kashmir, I trekked uphill and didn't fall into swirling icy river below. I realized that I have to keep up my own pace, just like a baby. And I have to have my sugar pill of confidence and persistence. Even here, in midst of all the young people, when Tejasvi is calling me ma'am, I feel like a middle-aged whisper. But the sugar pill I have is, I know I love standing out. And this is how I deal with my midlife crisis. Thank you.
Contestant number 1, Vijay Kumar. Vijay Kumar, contestant number 1.
Good evening, Toastmasters, guests, and my dear Congress speaker Srividhya Hariharan. When you started your speech, right, what I reminded of is well-begun speech is always an impressive speech. Right? The way you started with the day call, we are all called aunties, uncles, sir and madam, that's what I reminded of, because that immediately hooked me and I'm sure all other Toastmasters in your speech. Fantastic, right? The next couple of strengths that I noted in your speech is, first of all, the narrative is very beautiful and very well articulated. Throughout our speech, I have noted a lot of things. The first one is when your spirit is not keeping well with your body, fantastically written. And nothing like me, nothing like them. Beautifully said. Humpty Dumpty, middle age, you are reborn. All these are like very beautifully written and beautifully delivered. The second strength I see in your speech is the body language and the facial expressions that are almost very, very appropriate to your speech. For example, when you talk about pedestrian signal and the sugar pills and about nothing like me, nothing like that, it's all like reminded me of very, very appropriate body language and facial expressions. And the conclusion of your speech is fantastic, because any speech, right, opening and conclusion is very, very important. Because conclusion, if you conclude well, then obviously people will remember your speech always. So when you conclude sugar pill on confidence, right, that was fantastic. And nothing middle-aged blissful, that's beautifully said. So these are very, very strong strengths I have noted down. One major suggestion that I want to recommend is, like, your voice was very good, but it has to be a bit more expressive when you said, right? When you said, I fell down, I thought like you would have raised your voice, but fell down. That was missing. And when you said like you were seeking strangers' voice, like some kind of desperation could have been added to your speech. So these are the one recommendation I want to strongly recommend. To summarize, your speech is like a very authentic Kumbakonam coffee. Nice aroma, attractive, very tasty, and very strong and mouth-watering. If you had add some more expressions, right, in your voice, it would have been very, very attractive and mouth-watering speech. Over to you.
Number 2, Mathu Sridhar. Mathu Sridhar, contestant number 2. Yeah.
For every ill, there is a pill. And for every pill, there is a ill also. The sugary pill given by Srividhya Hariharan is an indication that her illness, her ill about the middle-aged aspect is something which is well addressed. I could see that she had some problems and she indicated that what is middle age. Middle age, from what I see, she said, middle age is a misfit. And then she went on to say, middle age, the spirit does not cooperate with the body. There is a misalignment between the body and the spirit, and that is where the trouble comes from. And she indicated that we are all reborn. It's a stage in our life where we are reborn. Reborn in the sense we lose our younger days and we are reborn. That message was well received. And the aspect of Humpty Dumpty fell into the snow was something which was very appealing for me. I loved that particular statement. Very rhythmic, very clear, stock with message, and it was very interesting and pleasing to listen and hear. And then she indicated the first day at school. And then she went on to say, the first day of where you're called aunties, uncles. I think those are memorable things. I was able to relate when people call me grandfather. They didn't call me aunties, they didn't call me uncles. They called me grandfather. I remember that particular day when she said it. And then she said, there was a challenge, learning skill and language at the same time. But she learned it. The beauty was, she learned it. I love that particular aspect. And
then, though your sugary pill could be a diabetic one, I was able to relate that sugar to successfully understanding, gesticulating attitude realistically. That for me is sugar. Successfully understanding, gesticulating attitude realistically. That was, in terms of recommendation, if I have to say, I think you need to avoid when you said one word, first day at school. I think that needs to be avoided. Instead of pointing the finger and saying this, that looks a little awkward for me. I think you could say one day and then say one day, something like that. Show the entire palm instead of pointing fingers. That's the only recommendation I have. But otherwise, I loved listening to your speech, which was quite unique by nature. Especially the signal crossing and the guitar class. I think I love that particular thing to stand out. And your definition of what a middle age is, and then how you overcame that is something where visual treat for all of us. Over to you.
So contestant number 3, Srivatsan, contestant number 3.
Srividhya, thanks for the much needed sugar pills that some of us in the audience needed. Kudos to you on that. Let me just tell what were the sugary parts in your pill and what were the salty parts in the pill. So first, it was really relatable for me because you know what, when I was sitting in that room, 2 of my fellow younger contestants, they told me, sir, even at this age, this line in you looks good on you. Sir, even at this age, you have less power in your glasses. I was like, okay, let me tell this here. So that was my message, which means it was totally relatable. And when you said me too, it was totally relatable out there. The second point, good usage of words. I saw you use words like middle-aged misfit, silver speaks. So these were some of the good words. Humor was there, sprinkled all over. For example, when you said it was looking nothing like me, like them, the Roja background. I fell into the snow, and me too. These were the good humor parts in your speech. Your movement was very natural, and I observed that the body language was normal, nothing artificial about it. 4th point, which comes to relatability, again, you involved the audience here. You called out Tejasvi's name. And how many of you feel like this in the opening? That was your opening statement. You are a confident speaker with no nervousness that I saw. However, there is 2 salt particles that you need to put in your speech. One is the vocal variety I found was monotonous. And the volume could have been a tad bit higher with appropriate body language. For example, when you said that I fell into the snow, it should be like, I fell into the snow. So you should add that little bit of drama in the vocal variety. It helps in the body language too. Second, conclusion was little rushing, Srividhya. This is how you did it. This is how I deal with it with my sugar pills. But it could have been like this. Fellow Toastmasters, this is how I deal with it. So, my dear friends, be prepared for this day and have your own sugar pills, whatever, whenever, at point in time you are going to hit middle age. All in all, very confident speaker, good usage of words, humor, relatability, natural movement, and the salty part was just little bit of vocal variety and conclusion, better conclusion. In all of this, you could have been a better speaker, but you still are. Over to you.
Contestant number 4, Tejasvi. Tejasvi, contestant number 4. No, she hasn't.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate my target speaker, Toastmaster Srividhya, for delivering a wonderful speech that made us not only smile, but also, more importantly, it made us think. I have 3 commendations and 2 recommendations for you to do. My first commendation is that Toastmaster Srividhya had a great way of telling a story. She told us 3 stories today, and each and every one of them conveyed the dilemma of a person who is in the middle age. It also brought out the frustration and anxiety she felt when someone called her an auntie or a ma'am. The second commendation I have for Toastmaster Srividhya is her humor that made us all relate with it right from the word start. The very first line she uttered, we all laughed at it, and that made me want to listen to the speech more. Her confidence throughout the speech and her confidence in her humor was very visible throughout the speech. My third commendation I have for Toastmaster Srividhya is the very great message she had of her speech. She told us how in middle age that we should do those small things to make ourselves happy. We should take those small sugar pills to make ourselves happy and make ourselves feel special at the end of the day. It's not about others making you feel special. It's about you feeling special and feeling that you are great at the end of the day. Moving on, I have 2 recommendations for Toastmaster Srividhya. First, I felt that at points she had a small laugh. When she delivered her jokes, she laughed at her own joke. That felt a bit unnecessary, and I felt that if you had not laughed, that impact of that joke would have been much greater. Second recommendation I have for Toastmaster Srividhya is that I felt that she was going from story to story. We could understand it clearly, but she could have improved the pauses in the entire story. I felt that her stage presence, you were very confident, but that pause which makes the audience, gives the audience that extra 2 seconds to think about what you're telling, to let that message sink into the mind of the audience, I felt that could have been improved on. Overall, it was a great speech. She had a great way of storytelling, great humor, and her confidence was very visible throughout the speech. And of course, the great message, which I'm sure is going to stay in all of our minds even after we leave this room. If she incorporates the 2 recommendations, one, that small laugh, which was quite unnecessary at that point, and also her improving her stage presence, I'm sure she would make this into a great speech in the future. Thank you.
Contestant number 5, Ashok Kumar. Ashok Kumar, contestant number 5.
Good evening, all. Toastmasters Srividhya. The first, I will start with things that resonated with you, for me. Pedestrian crossing. The first time in 1999 in the US, I faced that. Music class, I attended almost close to my 60, along with 10-year-olds. Vocal, I was learning. These are 2 things I could immediately relate to you. Your key strengths, as I see, sense of humor. Right from the beginning till the end, there were sprinkles of humor. For example, you said selfie related, Insta, Lakshmi, start, all such things. Second good thing was language. Throughout the speech again, you had lots of good phrases. Spirit doesn't cooperate with the body. Or middle age is like you are reborn. And also the analogy with a kid going on their own pace, which helped you to overcome the midlife crisis. And the overall structure of the speech, very good opening, good body, and conclusion. Especially, you ended with a positive. You ended on a positive note. How you overcame your midlife crisis. That was great. These are all the positive aspects as I see in your speech. Definitely, it will be a model speech for anyone who is joining Toastmasters in the beginning. It can be kept as a model speech. On the areas of improvement, I have a couple of suggestions. One is the pace of speech. I felt right from the beginning, you kept on talking with no pause. I would recommend you to pause at different points in time so that the audience could internalize what you are speaking. Especially, I had a lot of challenge in listening to you, concentrating on that, and making notes as an evaluator. The second one, I felt your volume was too low for me. Even though I was in the front, I felt the volume was a little low. Overall, the vocal variety itself was not much. You were speaking in a very low volume most of the time. So, in conclusion, you had great sense of humor, good language, speech structure. If you focus on the pace of speech and volume, it will become a great speech. All the best for you.
Contestant number 6, Rahul. Rahul, contestant number 6.
My speaker hit the ball straight out of the park from the word go by phrasing her title, Sugar Pills, which left the audience crave for her content. Contest master, my fellow Toastmasters, and my esteemed guests. What I really liked about my speaker was she was ready from the word go. She started her speech very interactively by asking her a question. What more important was that the number of audience that raised their hand for a question was quite high, which proved that she knew her audience well. To come to the second point, to come to the core content of her speech was paragraphs beautifully into 3 phases, beginning, middle, and end. Since she had narrated her own experiences of going to a foreign land and how she felt a misfit there, it was very organic instead of reading or narrating some fake scenarios. So I really also liked what more striking was her stage presence and gesture. She used many open body gestures and also narrow ones, which helped her non-verbal communication to go beautifully throughout the speech. And her stage presence was equally apt and subtle. And going on to a special part of her speech, I really loved the tinge of humor she had in everything. To give an example, while she mentioned and narrated how she fell down in one of her tracks was beautiful, and she was able to connect to the audience better. So on the improvements front, I have 2. So firstly, on the delivery aspect, she could talking about the vocal variety. She had a very soft and subtle tone throughout her speech, which was perfect for a storytelling narrative. But places where I wanted to play guitar or I wanted to go to a truck, if she had mentioned in a more confident and more stronger tone, it would have created a lot more impact, is what I felt. And on the content front, so she had beautifully finished with the conclusion. But as I mentioned earlier, she had started with a question. So if she also ended with a question like, do you think I'm a misfit now, or do you think I overcame my problem? It would have beautifully created a closed loop, and the speech would have been more perfect. So to summarize her speech, this was a brilliant speech, and it was very content oriented. Her non-verbal communications were brilliant. And if she takes inculcates the two delivery and the vocal variety suggestion from me, she will be unstoppable. It was a great pleasure listening to you.
Contestant number 7, Trisha. Trisha, contestant number 7.
Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, when I heard the title Sugar Pill, I would like to correlate some incidents that happened in my life. Me and my colleague were having a fight discussion about the social media. He was about 35 years old. When he told them I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Snapchat, he was like, Snapchat is for youngsters, right? How come you log into that app? And he told, what? Why I shouldn't be in Snapchat? There comes the sugar pill. Dear Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and my guest speaker, I could really correlate most of the incidents in my test speaker's speech. The first of starting with the content, the humorous content, uncle and the content, because there's an incident that happened to myself. I was walking a small bit, move auntie. Okay, here comes the partiality and everything. I would really able to correlate the incidents with the test speaker. And moving on to the body language, it was moderate and you covered the 4 areas and you had a good gestures as well. And especially finger is not cooperating. I could able to get an incidents, finger chips, that was so good. And then coming to the eye contact, most of them while talking they would see the floor, they would see the walls, but you had to interact with everyone and this side, that side, and every nook of the corner. Coming to the areas to be improved, though it's kind of humorous and a motivational speech, I could able to see some dullness in your voice, like the vocal variety. It was very slow and dull in your speech. That might be improved. And then I could feel you come up with some energetic in your speech, the chirpy notes, energetic, moving. And when you said I slipped away, it could be more. If you could have enhanced the act. And overall, in conclusion, it was a good message. And though my mother is about 50 years, still now she goes on every adventure trips and she do play everything. So age doesn't matter, and a good realistic message you able to communicate. And the bit lagging was the enhancement and the energetic. So it might be improved for better futures.
Contestant number 8, Sudha Raju. Sudha Raju, contestant number 8. You can now pick up your appearance. You can start.
Yeah. The Toastmaster Srividhya Hariharan, you spoke on the title Sugar Pills. What a wonderful presentation. We middle-aged women really wanted to hear, and it's a long time I heard such a wonderful speech. It was presented so well. We were able to put up all the things in a small capsule, the feelings of all the middle-aged women, what we want, how we feel, and the way you presented. I just loved it. It was a speech which I wanted to hear for a long time. So thank you so much for giving such a wonderful speech. So because you used the word sugar pill in a lot of places, so I would like to use the same word to put up your speech. So I would first tell about the sugary part of your speech. So you started with a very practical question and you spoke about the middle age in a very amazing way. So we knew how to age gracefully. So thank you so much for giving that. And you urged every woman to learn new things. So that was also a wonderful way. Of course, we need to learn and we take long time to think whether we have to do or not. So you urged us to do that. And it had very good examples which we can visualize, which we feel every day in our life. And it was an admittable version and a very, very relatable speech, of course. So I had to congratulate for that, for giving such a wonderful speech. As every sweet has its pill, to make the person more clear, I will suggest this pill as a suggestion. That is, you are posting can be a little worked upon. We found in many of the places that you were away from the camera, especially for the internet people, like online people, it was a bit difficult to trace you. And you can improvise on your stage movements. Lastly, you had told a lot of illustrations in small bits. I would suggest, like, if you make it as a beautiful story or a single story, it can be more related and it could be more understood in a better way. So the best part of your speech was you added humor. That was very good. And you added also, like, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, and the examples were quoted so nicely. For the suggestions, I will tell you were hidden away from the camera, and if it was a single story, it could have given a better impact. But on the whole, it was a very relatable, good example to version with a lot of humors and examples. You may have a little work upon in front of the camera and challenge yourself to make it a single story. So I would love to hear more from you, and I'm expecting more stories from you. Thank you, and over to you.